What's up, college football fans? Mike Valente here once again with the Mean Green Show. Today, joined by Chris, Memphis Insider, and we're going to dive into the Memphis football season coming up for this 2024 season. Chris, thanks for jumping on. And where can everybody find your work that you do for Memphis?
Yeah, so me and some guys started a website about a year ago called Tiger Blueprint. We post free content, which is in the Memphis realm at least not a very common thing anymore. A lot of the websites have paywalls and stuff like that. So we post free articles, free content, free inside information, and we're working on starting a podcast here soon. So yeah, I also run a Twitter page, 901 at 901 Chris L. That's about it as far as the plugs.
Going into Memphis's recent NIL efforts and FedEx pledging a $25 million commitment over the next 5 years, really, what has that done for the program as far as retention, attraction? How big of a move is that for Memphis?
I mean, in my opinion, it means everything as far as NIL is concerned. The way Coach Silverfield described it, Memphis wasn't behind the rest of or Memphis was behind the rest of the country NIL wise, or they weren't just behind the rest of the country NIL wise. They were behind even some of the conference these last few years. The commitment from FedEx puts them in position to compete within not only within the conference, but they'll get an opportunity to compete even nationally as well. You've seen, as you saw recently, a couple weeks ago, they got a big time commitment from a quarterback, Antoine Hill, and that's really big time for Memphis. I don't think you've seen very many commitments of that caliber at all as far as the Memphis program is concerned. They've kind of our kind of status recently has been doing a lot with a little, doing a lot with less, I guess you could say. So yeah, the fans, everybody's super excited about this pledge from FedEx because it's already doing wonders for the football program in specific.
Speaking of Antoine Hill, yeah, four-star QB, one I think is the highest rated quarterback Memphis has gotten in the modern rankings era, I believe. Yeah, real marquee player. So how does that work with the current quarterback room being, in your opinion, how do you think it's going to play out with Arrington Maiden, your guy's true freshman, being there and kind of battling for reps?
Yeah, so that is an interesting aspect to it. I know the coaching staff is very high on Arrington. He's a very talented quarterback, and as far as that's concerned, I mean, you get a guy the caliber of Antoine, a blue chip recruit, a guy that Memphis isn't really accustomed to getting at all. Uh, I I mean, Antoine said in his commitment in his interviews after that a big reason he chose Memphis over a school like Florida was because of the opportunity to play right away. So, I mean, my guess would be that there was some guarantees there that he would be on the field as a freshman, as a true freshman. So, as far as that's concerned, I mean, I know Arrington is a very talented quarterback, and I'm sure that there will be a battle. But as far as politics are concerned, the edge definitely leans toward Antoine. But I mean, if he's showing out and beating out Antoine in practice, I mean, I know Coach Silverfield pretty well. He's not just going to ignore that. He's gonna give him his chance too.
What does the commitment of Antoine Hill, what kind of message does it send, as far as where the program is going trajectory wise?
I mean, I'd say the biggest message would be that Memphis, they're no longer messing around when it comes to football. For so many years and years in the early 2000s, the program was run by John Calipari, basically, in the basketball program. And uh, it took them way too long to make a big commitment to football. And FedEx's pledge to our NIL, it's going to give the U of M a great shot to compete in football at really any level and hopefully help us move up to a bigger conference here soon. Um, I mean, yeah, you talk about like getting a top 15 quarterback in his class coming to play in the AAC. that's pretty scary for, I'd say, the rest of the conference and even the country.
Yeah, absolutely. So, staying on the quarterback topic just for a little bit longer. Obviously, Seth Hennigan, the incumbent starter. Who is the backup position solidified yet?
Um, I'm I'm not too well versed on that. I'm guessing it's going to be Arrington, Maiden. I'm pretty sure we kept Cade Cunningham. He was a solid. I think he was our backup last year. No, our backup last year was Tevin. But I've heard good things about the other quarterbacks in the QB room as far as the backup position is concerned. I don't think it's been solidified, or I'm pretty sure that'll be one of the bigger battles this offseason is who will end up being the backup. I know Arrington is very talented and they're very excited about him, but there is some older quarterbacks in that QB room that could also have a shot at getting that QB2 spot.
Memphis was able to retain Seth Hennigan, and you can't help but assume there was plenty of offers for him to go play at Power Four schools, or whatever the number is now. Was there any point during the offseason where you thought that he was going to test the portal? And kind of a two-sided question too. What ultimately do you think led to him staying? A and B, was it big part due to the FedEx commitment?
Yeah, I mean, obviously at the end of any season, as someone who covers a group of 5 team, I think you would expect, a good chunk of your production to look to transfer up, especially with Memphis having a relatively successful year last year. A lot of guys had very good individual seasons. Hennigan was without a doubt, he definitely got looks from high level schools, I'll say. One school I could throw out there is Miami. They were looking at him hard. They ended up with Cam Ward, so I guess maybe we got lucky there. I don't know, but there was definitely some lower Power Fives in Texas that were interested in him. But ultimately, I think he feels like he's been treated great in Memphis. Obviously, that FedEx deal has been in the works for longer than the public has known, so I'm sure that did play a factor into it. But I mean, he started from day one at Memphis as a true freshman, so the belief that Coach Silverfield has had in him from day one has been, I think, a very big thing to him. His family likes it here, and not to mention this year they also have a chance to do something very special, and they could be, the first group of 5 team to be in the playoff in this new format. I think they definitely have a good chance at that. So I think, you combine all those factors together. A lot of FedEx probably, but there's some other factors there too that probably swayed him to stay.
After the departure of defensive coordinator Matt Barnes, what's the expectations for this Memphis defense under Jordan Hankins?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much worse than last year as far as our defense is concerned. One of the worst in the country, if not the worst. I didn't keep up with the stats too hard, but if you just watched the product being put out, it was pretty rough. But obviously Matt Barnes stepped down and left before the bowl game last year. He led one of the worst defenses in the country as far as basically everything's concerned. Hankins came in during the bowl game, and I mean, I wouldn't say it was a defensive masterclass by any means, but they held Iowa State to 0 rushing yards and pretty much set the tone the entire game from a scheming perspective. He out schemed their guys for sure, and it just seems like Hankins' style is going to fit the it's going to fit the program much better than Barnes' style did. And like I said, there's some guys coming back from last year that were pretty solid on defense. We got Chandler Martin coming back. He's obviously a big time guy. Possible preseason All American coming back. So yeah, I mean Hankins, he's only obviously one game last year, but held him to 0 rushing yards, and that's good enough for me to think that things could definitely be better this year than last.
Are there any position battles that you're particularly interested in going into fall camp?
So a guy that you guys are definitely familiar with, is it Jair Shorter? Is that it? That's
Jair
how you
Shorter.
say his
Yep.
name?
Yep.
Um, I'm interested to see if he could maybe win a that wide receiver 3 spot or get maybe that slot. Because we have all our wide receivers coming back that started last year. Basically, we have Rock Taylor back. He was first or second team All Conference. We got Blankumsey back. He 500-600 yards last year. So a good amount of TDs. He was a good guy for us last year. Those two guys you can basically pencil them in as starters. But as far as that third spot, we have a guy named Kobe Drake coming back that's very solid, but also very limited. And after a while, I mean, I watched a good amount of film on Jair. I guess a couple months back, we did a piece on him on the blueprint, and I mean, he looks like he's got dazzling speed. He looks, when I know there's some injury concerns with him. He hasn't been able to stay healthy throughout his career, but I mean, watching the film, he looks relatively unguardable whenever he gets into open space. So, I mean, if a guy like him really steps up in camp, I could see him stealing a starting spot from a guy returning like Kobe Drake, who's been in the program for a while and knows the scheme. But um, Jair seems to obviously have a little bit more talent than him. So I could see that being a big battle. And then, like I said earlier, the backup quarterback battle, I think that'll be a pretty decent battle. See if Cade or Arrington or maybe even Harris Boyd steps in and uh, picks up that backup spot. But yeah, those are two spots that I think will probably have the biggest battle.
I feel like the expectations are fairly high for Memphis this season, coming into this season anyway. What would constitute as a successful season, from the fans' perspective, just being, what the expectations are?
Yeah, I'd say as far as that is concerned, the fans want the team to be in the conference championship this year at the bare minimum. There's fans out there that say winning the conference championship is the bare minimum this year. And there's fans that even say that would even be as crazy to say as they're expecting to be in the playoff this year. They're expecting to be the group of five team out of the playoff this year or to go to the playoff this year. And I mean, in my opinion, I would say bare minimum, Coach Silverfield needs to have him in the conference championship this year. It's been a rocky start to Coach Silverfield's time here. He finally got it going a little bit last year, but uh, the 2 years before that, 6-6, that's not cutting it at Memphis anymore. Fans were very angry with him, and even last year, he did go 10-3 in a much weaker American Conference, but he lost every game, every kind of toss up game. SMU, Tulane, Missouri, every game, every tough game on the schedule. I'll say last year, uh, he did not win. So I think Memphis fans are looking for him to get some big wins this year and hopefully at least get us to the conference championship.
Is Coach Silverfield on any type of hot seat, do you anticipate?
Uh, no, he just got extended.
Yeah.
He just got a pretty big extension. I mean, and if you look at the grand scheme of things, what he's done here, uh, he's won 3 or 4 bowl games. If you look at the grand scheme of Memphis football in general, he's done a pretty good job. But as far as we're looking to move up conferences. We need results now. So the expectations are pretty high this year with all these guys coming back.
Okay, real quick, gonna go over the schedule. You just tell me win or loss. Okay,
Yes,
North Alabama,
that's a win.
Troy,
Win,
Florida State,
loss,
Navy,
win,
Middle Tennessee,
win.
USF.
That's at USF, correct?
Yes.
That's going to be one of the tougher games of the year, maybe the toughest game of the year. I like USF a lot next year with Byron Brown coming back at quarterback, but I'm gonna have to go win on that one.
Okay, North Texas.
That's at home.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with the win there.
Charlotte,
I'll go with the win there.
UTSA at UTSA,
Man, that's tough. I'll go. I'll go win.
Rice.
Win.
UAB.
Win.
And Tulane.
I'm gonna say a loss at Tulane on Thanksgiving to end the year. I like what Tulane's got. They got a lot of talent coming in. I don't know if you've seen the influx of talent they've got coming in, but they've got like I think either two or three like former 5-star receivers coming in. That team's gonna be pretty damn good. Even with losing their coach, I'm thinking they're gonna be right at the top of the conference again. So yeah, I'll go with the loss at the end of the year. I guess that puts us at 10-2.
10-2 with one conference loss should push you guys into conference championship if it shakes out like that. Maybe with a rematch with Tulane, who knows? But
Yeah.
yeah, well, cool. Well, Chris, thank you so much for your time and good luck with all
Yeah.
your coverage this coming up season.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.